Hey guys, so in this video we are going to talk about Scala and PHP. How about that comparison? So let's get into it. Now, first and foremost, I will tell you this. This sort of comparison we kind of have to, because that PHP basically is only used for web development and Scala is also used for that, but since it's a JVM technology, it can in theory be used for a lot of other stuff. That's something we will factor into this little comparison of mine, but we will for the most part just focus on the web. So what do I like about Scala? Well, first and foremost, what's very nice about Scala is that it's a typed language, and I absolutely love types. Types is the thing. It is the thing, and if you're of course free to disagree here, but honestly, it is a very underappreciated thing how powerful types are when you get up to a certain amount of code, because at some point you shift from writing completely new code to basically just changing code quite frequently, and having a type system when you're changing code a lot is really helpful. It reduces the amount of bugs and helps out quite a bit in my experience. Apart from that, what I really like about Scala is that, as opposed to say just vanilla Java, you have case classes, for example, which are very nice. You just hold some basic data attributes, or basically hold data, so forth. We have functional aspect. Optionals are amazing. It's such a great thing. The matching is also amazing. The match statement, being able to pattern match on different object structures and data structures. Beautiful. Now, I still think that there is some weirdness. Like, I don't really like implicit values and having like this idea that you can globally inject things and so forth. That's not a good thing at all. And apart from that, it takes a little time. I would say this, it takes a little time to get used to Scala and all the tools around it and so forth, I would say. I mean, I would say that it's probably easier to get started with it than most other type. I won't even go as far as to say that. It's just a different way of doing things. I will say on average, I feel fairly I don't know. It's a hard tell. Had this comparison been between Scala and Java, it would have been a little bit tricky to define which one is the better. But those are the things that I really like about Scala. So then let's talk about, say, PHP, for example. Well, that's the comparison. But anywho, so PHP is absolutely amazing when it comes to web development. I find it's the biggest web platform in the world. I even think there's a competition here. PHP is used for pretty much, I think it's roughly a third of all the websites on the internet. It is designed to be a web language. It's really great at it. It has among the best server-side rendering, like for HTML page rendering and so forth. I know. It's very easy to get started with, extremely beginner friendly. It has probably more learning resources than anything like most languages. It's a really good beginner language. Really great. I would say that Scala is not a great beginner language. I don't think so. Personally, if a beginner asked me if they should start with Scala, I would say no. It's probably better if you start with Java, because Scala, it's really great, but I don't think it's such a beginner-friendly language. So what's the bad sides with, say, PHP? Well, the bad things that I kind of think that are in PHP, apart from, well, the obvious one is that there are no types. It says it's a scripting language. That's one thing. And it's also not that great that you kind of have to do, well, you can solve like the namespace issue, because everything is living in a global context in PHP as well, but you can use namespaces, so it's not that big of a deal. Apart from that, there's a lot of legacy functions and here and there and all the like small weird things, but I don't think that, I mean, honestly, I don't think that matters all that much. Overall, I think PHP is a really great thing, and the only thing that I really, as I said, don't like about it is that it doesn't scale. Like it's tougher to work in it when you're at large scale. So when would I use one over the other? Well, I would say this. If you are starting out, say that you're a complete beginner, choose PHP every single day of the week. Unless, as I said, if your goal is to do web development, that's the assumption here. If you're doing something like embedded systems, or if you're into doing, I don't know, desktop application development and so forth, maybe I don't even think that you would have these on your radar. But as I said, because Scala is going to compile down to something that you can run on a JVM, you have more things that you can kind of do. So the assumption here is that you're making a web application. Just bear that with you. So if you are, as a beginner, start with PHP. It's going to be hands down the best choice for that type of work. And I would say that for most companies, it also kind of makes more sense to start to do PHP if you have to pick between these two. Because the problem with Scala is that although it has all these kind of functional aspects to it, and there's a lot of power and a fair amount of improvements over the Java standard, it is not as adopted. Like PHP, in terms of popularity, in terms of availability for people, like if you want to hire people, it's most likely going to be easier for you to find PHP developers than it's going to be to find Scala developers. Scala is a great language, but it's not as popular as Java, for example. So, if you're, as I said, if you're a beginner starting out, start out with PHP. If you are going to build a platform that is really going to have to leverage, say, parallel processing or thread-based programming, asynchronicity or something like that at scale, then Scala is a pretty good damn choice, I have to say. I mean, I really like it for that sort of use case. Having, say, something like Akka streams or something like that to process incoming data as a stream. I mean, there's all these kind of nice things about it, which I really like. But as I said, like, it really only becomes like really good once you have a little bit of size, because once you get up to this type of size where type systems become important, then I think that Scala is the better option here. So if you're making the decision between PHP and Scala, I would say think Scala if you are going to have to work against a large company. You know that the product that you're building is going to grow in size. You know for a fact that you're going to have several people working on it and have a fairly large code base. Go with PHP if you're either a beginner or if your goal is to make a small to mid-sized company or something of that nature, and you don't want to do the upfront investment into something like a type system such as the one that you find in Scala. That's, I think, the best general feel I can give you for when you choose one over the other. Overall, they're pretty good languages for their intended use cases or for their optimal use cases. I hope this was useful to you. Have a great day.